In Talent, Oregon, just steps from Broadway Alley, the lights come up. Rehearsal becomes performance. Process becomes story. And artists meet audience in the same room. This is where Broadway meets talent.
And welcome to Where Broadway Meets Talent, where we explore the artists, the process, and the creative work behind the productions here at Camelot Theater in Talent, Oregon. I'm Brian O'Connor, and for this production, I'm wearing a couple of hats. I'm your host, and I'm also appearing in You Can't Take It With You as Paul Sycamore, so I'll be kind of jumping around a little bit. We are now halfway through the run of this wonderful, chaotic, heartfelt show. And today we are going to step inside the world of the Sycamore family and the young couple at the center of it all. So let's go ahead and dive in. Today I'm joined by Beth Gudenrath, who plays Penny Sycamore, my lovely wife in the show.
Oh, darling.
Hello, darling. Julia Gibbs, who plays my daughter Alice, and Andrew Chevitel, who plays Tony Kirby, who is Julia's love interest. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
So let's start big. The Sycamore household, it's a lot. And Sean Warren plays Grandpa, who is essentially the gravitational center of this home. So let's start with you, Beth. Penny lives in constant creative motion. How do you approach playing someone who is so joyfully scattered, if you will, but completely sincere?
That's a great description of her, joyfully scattered, but completely sincere. And she is, it's been a challenge, I will admit, because of the scatteredness of who Penny is, but also me, Beth, as an actress trying to find the choreography or hone this character. And so to be able to give myself permission to really play within a sort of I kind of choreographed the thing, to try to like play within that has been challenging, but also a lot of fun. Tommy Statler, our director, is so wonderful. He gave us such a great way of entering rehearsals and permission to play. And I think you guys talked about it on the last podcast, just breaking down the script in the way that he did. And then with us as actors, we got these little like little chunks of like easily digestible text and scene work and part of the script to work with. And then once you kind of got that piece down, then you went on to the next, and then you went on to the next, and then all of them are woven together to create this like really beautiful story and this fabric of what the Sycamores is. So I don't know if I answered the question, but I feel like it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of hard work, but now that we're in the playing of it, it's all play because it's all been set up. We've done all the work, and now we just get to live in these beautiful moments with each other on stage and challenge each other as actors and push each other and like play. Just like it's been a lot of fun.
Right. So, Julia, as Alice, you're kind of the bridge between the two worlds.
Yes.
Your character loves her family deeply, but she's also navigating a very different future. Let's talk a little bit about what the core tension for her is in this show.
Yes. So Alice is very, very interesting because she has a foot in, as you kind of said, both worlds, and she's the bridge. So a lot of the tension comes from this real love and this acceptance that, and a half acceptance she has for her family, and an idea of what her life kind of should look like and what pathway should propel her to a future that she envisions for herself. So a lot of that is interwoven together, and I think Tony is a huge part of that as well. And so I think kind of when we travel through the show with her and when we see everything through her and Tony's relationship, as well as the Sycamores, by the time we get to the end, and by the time we get to Tony's decision as well, we see her kind of coming to that understanding of like, she can do the things she wants, and she does have acceptance, and there is this overall acceptance, so she can have the future she wants, and she can still have that love and support of her family. Those are not separate entities, if that makes sense. But it's a real tension, and it physically happens in my body for the bulk of the show. I try to stay very much on my spine and up straight like this.
Yeah.
So if there's a deflation, it's pretty purposeful, and then there's a back into it again. So
Right.
yeah.
So want to shift to Andrew, because your character Tony walks into this house and is basically gets hit with fireworks, ballet, and typewriters all at once. I want to talk about his emotional journey inside all of that chaos.
Yeah, well, actually, that's one of my favorite parts of the show is getting to discover the Sycamore family for the first time every single time we run. And just, Tony's this very much contrary to Alice. He's very laid back, very optimistic, very chill, fun loving. And so pretty much instantly he falls in love with all of the Sycamore weirdness and each and every kooky character. Between in the debate and the tension between Alice and Tony about Alice's family, I think I'm the one really who's batting on the Sycamore team here and saying that
Yes.
I'm if we're going to make this work, like I'm willing to take all of the punches and the ballet dancing and the typewriters because you're worth it, and they're truly lovely, and you're worrying way too much that they're too weird for me, when I think that compared to my family, they're super interesting, and I would love to spend the rest of my life with these people.
Aw.
So as Paul Sycamore, I spend a lot of time on stage just observing. And I see that in your character. You do such a great job of emoting that. I mean, there's the dinner scene where you're just kind of laying on the chaise lounge, and I'm watching you, and you're just taking it all in, like this is the best thing you've ever seen, and it's very real, and it really, I think, connects. I mean, you do such a great job in this character, but that scene in particular, when you're just kind of smiling and looking around and just taking it all in, I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
So one thing audiences are responding to mid-run is the chemistry. It feels lived in. What clicked for everybody during rehearsal that made this family dynamic feel so real?
I think the beautiful thing that Tommy did as a director was right away he took a long chunk of one of our early rehearsals and did intimacy, which gave us permission to fully play not only as mother and daughter or as future mother-in-law or as husband and wife, but it gave us really a true permission to say, hey, I can touch you here, I can get right up in your face, or this is a no zone, this is a yes zone. And for me, that was key, because now I had an instinct to go and grab my daughter's face, and I knew I could do it fully and with all of my actor instinct and vigor in that moment. And and then it created a moment for Julia and I to like, yes, that felt right, it felt true. And even with you and I, Brian, and just finding those moments where we get to hug and kiss and cuddle and
Right.
hold hands. And then for you, Andrew, when you're coming in that door and I just engulf you in this big mama bear hug and I don't even know you, but it's so much fun. I don't know. I think that really helped me.
Yeah, I
Right.
would say like similar to Beth, like it's kind of the like setting of boundaries first and then playing within those boundaries and letting that kind of take you wherever. So by doing all that intimacy work and all that spending all that time checking in and seeing, what exactly people are comfortable with, it really just opens you up to letting everything happen and not have to be like, oh my God, does this person not want this? Like,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
Yeah, I think for me, it's mostly come with the repetition, because we see, like I said, we see Tony meet them for the first time and then develop over the course of a week or so as the play happens. And so, once we started running the show again and again, and I got that experience of meeting and forming a relationship and then letting the relationship develop, which with each and every member of the family, I think really just let me cement in my mind, like, because I get a different, absolutely wacky, inappropriate, hilarious introduction to, to every different member of the family. And then letting that inform thinking, in the second act of, the introduction that I had in the first act and how I feel about them and getting that familiarity of like, oh, that's the thing he does with the, with playing with the ship. And, it's the thing, he's always covered in firework dust, and the gaining the familiarity through repetition with each member of the family really lets me flesh out in my mind that sort of imagined and developed relationship with each member of the family.
I think the really cool thing about this ensemble is, no matter who you look at on stage, you have a different relationship with them as an actor, but also as a character, and so like I'm finding Andrew's eyes or I'm finding Julia's eyes, but Alice's and Tony's and then your eyes. And then all of a sudden I reach back and there you are, Paul, grabbing my hand, Brian as the actor, but it's fun because we all have each other's backs and we're just living in this world. And it's something new every night. It's something completely different every night. And that's what's so exciting for me as an actor. It's full on play, full on permission, and it's exciting.
Yeah, it's really wonderful just because all of this fantastic cast and all these actors are so present on stage all the time, like Beth, you were saying. So, whenever you get the impulse to create on the spot some sort of nonverbal communication or eye contact or, some ad lib under your voice about the action that's happening, everyone is right there ready to respond to you. And it really fleshes out in your own mind. And also, I believe, for the audience, that's part of the magic, to make it feel like a really lived in, familiar family house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, I
there are
agree.
so many things that recently have only kind of come up because we've gotten to live in it for a bit. Like there's a glance that you and I have, Andrew, during during the introduction scene with both families, and then Beth, you and I have this beautiful little like hip bump moment that's kind of morphed and grown, and same with the like when I'm stressing out and you come over to me and you say it's gonna be okay, and I go okay, and I like do your physicality back to you. And so all of these things can only come from really open and present people, which is great.
Yeah. I think, Andrew, we don't have a lot of actual dialogue with each other, but I'm not going to give away too much here. But in the third act, Tony makes an admission to everybody. And when you're giving your reasons why, you look over at me and it just grabs my heart. And it's like, oh, but it's those moments. And there are so many of them in this show. And it's really amazing.
Yeah, I think that's in the third act again. We don't want to spoil too much, but seeing the just the love and care that Paul and Penny show for Alice as she's making her big decision, I think definitely are very crucial for Tony to make his big decision. And just, seeing that kind of love and acceptance of Paul and Penny's daughter that I think Tony doesn't really feel from his parents is such a big part, even though we, you and I don't interact all that much, just observing the family and the family dynamics, I think is very impactful to Tony, comparing the Sycamore lifestyle to the Kirby lifestyle.
Right. Absolutely. And we can't leave out Ron Robbins and Vicki Richardson, who play your character's parents in the show. Phenomenal actors, and they add so much to the tension, obviously, starting in the second act and through the end of the show. But, Ron kind of came at it a little bit differently, and I've watched his character, it kind of morphed towards the end of the rehearsal process. And the dynamics and the relationships in this show are phenomenal. So we are halfway through the run now. Has anything shifted for you since we opened the show? Any discoveries, any major surprises that you've come across?
I've just been trying to really, because we have such permission inside the world, I've just been trying to really follow instincts and play in the moment and trust my own instincts and trust the other actors on stage and trust the dialogue and, the knowledge of what the story we're telling. And so it's been really fun to risk. I've been risking more than I have on stage ever. And it feels really fun, and scary at the same time, but I know that all the other actors have my back, and I know that I know this story inside and out. And Tommy, as our director, gave us permission. So I don't know. That's been fun for me.
Having like truly an audience as well has been, at least for me personally, like a massive change. And just like having kind of that extra response and extra eye has drastically changed. Like even honestly, just because of how formative it is and how long it is, the intimate scene between Alice and Tony was kind of always a scene that I'd be like, "Okay, we're coming up to it. Okay." And truly seeing getting to experience it with an audience as well has really opened it up, and I found that that scene has turned into a really beautiful and just like from the heart moment that I truly have started looking forward to in a way that I hadn't quite anticipated. And just even the little, it was the back of your head. Like getting to say that to Andrew and and then getting to kind of play that following interaction based off of whatever action we've chosen to take that night. It's really lovely. And I don't think it could have grown that way without having such a giving and wonderful audience for as many nights as we have.
Yeah.
Yes, I really love that moment too. And I think having the audience, I agree, has been really, really crucial in, I think, just opening back up the sense of play that we had at the beginning of rehearsal, because we spent so much time playing and figuring out what works, and then cementing it. But then, as we get closer to opening, it's this like tension building that like everything now has to be correct and everything has to be like good work that we're doing. And are they going to like it? Are they going to laugh? And then finally, once we did open, and then we have the audiences to play off of, and the audience reactions supporting us has, I think, really just relieved all of the tension and given us so much more freedom to open up the play and to find new things every night and discover new things and make risks and have fun up there.
Right. Well, we're just about out of time here, so I want to thank the three of you for joining me on this episode. The show I think is amazing, and you three are the best. Love sharing the stage with you every night, and I think the next 2 weeks are just going to continue to get even better, and it's just going to be fun to watch where this goes. So, thank you again for being here.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Brian.
Thank you.
Now I am joined by Blythe Lloyd, who plays Essie Carmichael, or originally Essie Sycamore, my daughter in the show, and also an aspiring ballerina, and also Mozart Pearson, who plays Ed Carmichael, her devoted husband and xylophone enthusiast. So welcome to the both of you. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Yeehaw.
So Blythe, Essie's ballet is enthusiastic. We'll say that. How do you balance the physical comedy with keeping her grounded and so lovable?
Oh, that is a great question. I kind of have kind of mixed with and really found that kind of the music that Ed plays is kind of what ties her dancing all together and puts her in that kind of mindset of said ballet dancing. And with Ed kind of always having access to a xylophone or some type of music, there is definitely a lot of dancing that we see in the show, but also that I that goes on just in the house in general, just even off stage as well. And balancing kind of physical comedy with kind of the lines that are needed to kind of move the story along. It's definitely kind of a trust built with Mozart and myself on stage, but also just connecting with Essie and knowing that, oh, when there's music, I just can't help but think that I'm on this stage and the living room is now um, just this big and broader um, place where I can dance. And then really knowing that it's a safe space to do so with my family. And when we do get serious, um, just seeing these tones and just really being concerned with what's going on kind of helps me ground and put my foot down for a little bit before I get the okay from mom or dad or seeing that Alice is doing okay. But yeah, that's kind of how I've separated the two and um, kind of spotted the more serious notes in when Essie is putting her ballerina shoes up for a little bit on some of the pieces on stage.
So Mozart, Ed is so supportive to a fault, actually. What do you love about playing someone who is so fully committed to his wife's dream?
Uh, Funny enough, just being recently married, this is a very solid, thing to think about right now. But I think that it's fun to be able to connect with another artist and be able to like share the space together and know that this is a like Blythe said, it's a safe space, and to be able to find other actors that are in that, it's really kind of special in the sense that you feel like you are um legitimately supporting each other, the way you look at each other, the way you kind of have these moments. And I think that Blythe and I have a lot of moments where we don't always say something, but we're always looking at each other. We're always checking in about what we see in this moment. How do we feel about this? What are our interactions with someone else? And so it's to be supportive of a partner, especially thinking about what Ed's part is to this story. He loves to see Essie happy. He knows that Essie's happiness is that her family is happy as well, and so and him being a part of that family now, and like not being one of the Sycamores, but is a Sycamore in his own way. So it's like he contributes to this, and to know that he's able to share his passion for music and other weird hobbies that he seems to have with people that are pretty accepting of all of that. It's rewarding because it reminds me a lot of like the things that I have learned through my relationships and support and stuff like that. And so to be able to do it and also get to play back and forth is spectacular.
So your relationship on stage, the two of you, it is just hilarious, but it's also deeply sincere and very endearing. How did the two of you build that rhythm together?
That's a great question. Um, Mozart, do you have anything first?
Yeah, I guess I think that it was first like establishing like um you know the space and what the script already said to begin with, and then to be able to kind of, now that we've been kind of running a little bit, we check in with each other about like doing certain jokes, or like we say maybe we're focusing on this, and but I think yeah, life, maybe you can expand from there.
Yeah, absolutely. We've even kind of been building while the run's still going. I honestly think just about almost every run we went through after we got off stage together, there's like a new idea that's popping up, being like, oh, maybe we can try this next time, or oh, I have an idea on where to kind of include another element of showing that Ed and Essie are like meant for each other basically and kind of fit hand in hand. And that's has been really great kind of exploring that and being able to explore that with each other and with our characters. Um, and it's really fun to kind of just find the moments where I can add a little um uh air kiss or a chance to kind of like look at Ed in a loving way when Alice is talking about Tony and just kind of sharing with the audience from like a background perspective on kind of what Ed and Essie's relationship is, like Ed or like Mozart said, without using words. And I think that's really fun, and that's kind of the path we have been taking with their relationship is finding those nonverbal moments, which I absolutely love. Just because, um, just love and all the things in between go transcend just words, and so giving the audience kind of more to look at on stage and just building that relationship as kind of like a backdrop for the main theme going on is kind of what Mozart and I have been working on, and it's really fun exploring that.
There is a level of loudness in the quietness, and I feel like that's very appropriate for this relationship. The he's got the music, she's got the dancing, and I think that there's the moment that we talk about having the baby and rushing upstairs and just kind of playing with. There is no doubt these two are together and they love each other, and it's a space that they can love each other very openly and loudly. But in
So,
that,
yeah.
it's like it doesn't necessarily need that it comes out of especially because we don't have too many moments to speak together, but we do.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So this play is heightened, but it's not cartoonish, right? So how do you keep it emotionally honest while living in such a stylized household? Because there are a lot of things going on in this house.
Yeah, for sure. It's it I will say it definitely was hard at the beginning to find the balance just because, usually with comedies, it's very kind of like very theatrical and kind of emphasizing that and making sure like the point in comedy is getting across. But Tommy, the director, almost just about every time we did a run through, just kind of drilling it in just to kind of treat it just like you would as if you were to like visit your own family. Because I will say, this family very much reminds me of my mother's side of the family, and it's really fun, like pulling from kind of my experience with my own family and then placing that in the reactions that I have to Essie and kind of building her character a little bit more through there. And so, definitely for me, is finding that balance of related kind of situations within the play through my own life and just finding the honesty and really working with the other people on stage. Honestly, engaging with them helps ground me, and in that realism, just to kind of help me spread out that over exaggerated comedy style.
Yeah, I think a lot of mine was through discovery. Thinking about every moment as a discovery for this character, and I think that that is something that we do typically. Just as performers, is like acting as reaction, whatever phrasing you want to call it that, and so it's like looking at each other, like you and I, Brian, we have our moment where we're sitting there playing cards, and we
Yeah.
look at each other, and we have these legitimate reactions, I think, to these moments. And I think that like Blythe said, I also have a very animated family myself, but they're not it can get to the closeness of cartoonish, but yet it's funny how like the same thing can go for the Griswold family, you know what I mean? Like they're an animated nature, but they're not necessarily cartoons themselves. And so I think that there is a level of madness that is very much a lot to explore. And I don't think it takes it very hard for you to be like, oh, this is a little heightened reaction because these are heightened situations. And I think that it's the everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and it's the tragedy in the moment for everybody else, but it's the comedy from the outside. And I think that the more sincerity that we've been able to put into it, and I feel like as time has gone on, we put even more sincerity into these moments, that you'll find these realistic comedic moments, and you are grounded that whole time.
Yeah.
You do think like you're planted in this moment, and these characters are living these moments, you know, with you. And so
Hmm.
every day you're going to discover something a little different. You do something a little bit cuter. You might try something that is just going to even build that closer. And even though it may seem like it's tweaking in a way that could animate it more, I feel like in that animation we have become a little bit closer to the comedy, I think, in for lack of a better phrasing.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that anybody who comes to see this show will be able to identify with a family member or an entire family in this show. I think we all have someone that might be a little bit left of, of center or normal. And certainly the Sycamore family and Ed Carmichael, who is part of that Sycamore family, is no exception. But I think, you come see the show, you'll be able to go, man, that's Uncle Lou, or that's, whoever. I know that person from my own family. So for someone who has not seen the show yet, what would you say to invite them into this world?
Have a
Hmm.
couple drinks.
Uh,
No, no, no. In all, in all sincerity,
Not a bad idea, though.
it's never a bad idea. I feel like it loosens the nerves. I think as an audience, I think that's the thing I always find that is the invitation to laugh, the invitation to be able to be here in these moments with us. And I think that like you say, uh there is something too unique to this kind of comedy that I feel like it's not easy to explain to your audience, to be like, watch out for this. But I think to at least be able to let yourself in, I think is probably going to be one of the easiest ones, and I would hope that most people come in with that.
Right. Right.
yeah,
Um,
and
See this
yeah,
place as the living room.
yeah, I agree with Mozart, and just expecting unconditional love, both with just amongst like family, but also relationships and friendships. Because I mean, in the show, it's majority following family members, but it's also following two different types of families coming together and kind of collaborating with each other and learning from each other. And then you have friends that weren't friends originally and were just strangers that just happened to stay. Um, and all of these arguments going on, and new findings within each of the characters, and then still learning and still able to love each other and just work together to move forward just as a family and as individually. um I think the audience should expect learning that type of love, and kind of that message that each of the characters show through this play.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
kind of piggyback off of that too. Also to just kind of realize its historical value as a play right now. I think not to talk too much, but in this modern era, I feel like the show is definitely hitting a lot of nails on the head. And so I think that there is something to love about that. And I think that if you can also invite yourself to be like, oh, this is being talked about in this time, and What are we learning? And I hope that that is learned from this story for our audiences, and I hope that they can learn that to love and relax um, can be one of the most beautiful messages to come out of the Sycamore family and Grandpa specifically. I think. So yeah,
Well, I want to thank both of you for sharing your process and insight into this production. Blythe Lloyd, Essie Carmichael from You Can't Take It With You, and Mozart Pearson, who plays her husband, Ed Carmichael. Thank you both for being here and talking about your experiences on the show.
Of course. Thank you.
yeah.
You can't.
Thanks, nerd.
You Can't Take It With You continues its run here at Camelot Theater through March 15th, so still a couple of weekends left to see it, and we would love to have you join us. You can listen to Where Broadway Meets Talent on all major podcast platforms, and you can now watch the full video version of each episode on YouTube. I'm Brian O'Connor. Thanks for spending time with us, and we will see you at the theater.